Hello. This is like a lucky dip. Who's going to be here?
It is.
So, hello, Roger, Kathleen, Wendy, Eva, Sandy.
Hello.
Who's Santi Zed? Do we know who that is?
And
Hi, Peter.
It's in Ghana.
Hello.
It's Nana.
How are
Hi,
you?
how are
Linda?
you?
Nice to see you
I'm
again.
fine, thank you.
Yeah, so we've only got 4 countries today, but that's enough. And 3 lockdowns. Two lockdowns. Oh, yeah. Now, who doesn't know all the others here?
We've been introducing each other, but
Yeah.
I didn't know Sandy or Santis until this afternoon, today.
Yeah, Nana, she calls herself. She's coming to the next training program.
Right.
Yes, I am.
And
That's great.
works with, she's our representative of the youth world, the young world. So I'm really excited to have, and you, Sandy, have you involved as well? We've been a bit slow getting all the information out, but it's coming. So I guess one of the things that we always do when we start these meetings is to start with an element of our own passion map that we bring forth. And if you don't have one, just make one up. And I'm going, I'm going to go for thriving global community.
I'm going to go
being
for...
with friends. Oh, sorry,
No,
Roger.
go on, Uwe. Keep going.
Okay, for me, being with friends.
Yeah.
Mine would be soaring emotions.
Sorry.
Soaring emotions.
Oh, soaring emotions. Okay.
Mine would be passion for people, which is to do, of course, with collaboration.
Wonderful.
Mine's deeply connected.
Beautiful.
Mine's being innovative.
Yeah. Okay.
And mine is smile.
Beautiful. And
Rule
Nana,
number
can you
6.
make something up that you'd like to bring forth to this group?
Breathe.
Breathe. That's what you had last time, wasn't it? That's beautiful. Okay.
Is it?
So the next thing
Oh.
we usually do is to just take a moment of silence. And while those 8 elements are here, just allow them to be present and allow yourself to be present with everyone else in silence. And maybe reflect on what you'd like from today's session. What you'd like, maybe what you'd like to ask for. Okay. Thank you. So the next thing we do is to change our name to what we just said we bring. If you don't know how to change your name, you click on your name and you get a list, pop-up list comes, and it's at the bottom. So you click rename, and mine is Thriving Global Unity.
I don't know what to do.
You click on Kathleen,
Yeah,
look on the screen, click on Kathleen, and then what will come up is about 5 different instructions. You click,
nothing's come. Oh, okay.
In the top right-hand corner where the dots are,
Yeah,
the blue dots,
yeah.
and there's a list there.
Okay. Oh, you got it.
hi, Julie. Are you able to say hello?
Hi, Peter. I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's good. I am actually off video because I'm driving hands-free at the moment. So,
Okay. That's
I
cool.
thought I'd pop in and say hello.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I just like some feedback. You can't see the screen now.
I can see you all in little squares. Yes.
Can you see what we've renamed ourselves?
No, I can't read that small from here.
Yeah. This is something I've done with all sorts of groups, and we do it with our own core team. And
Awesome.
and it's somehow or other, you know, it just changes the dynamic so much. Anyway,
So
that's
I
just,
came in a little late, Peter. Can you tell me what it is that you just took everyone through?
well, we bring, if we've done a passion map, we bring one element of the map, the energy of the map. And
Yeah.
then in this case, Kathleen was love and mine was thriving global community. Wendy's was being innovative. And then we just bring in the energy of those things into the space. And then we
Awesome.
basically have a small time to meditate on that. And then we change the name. And then we connect with the people who are late.
I apologize. that sounds like a wonderful thing to do, to really then tap in and step into those passion areas.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. There's another beautiful process too, which I learned from an Aboriginal woman about thinking of yourself as a tree or as a shrub or in our case, sunflowers have a particular meaning, and you allow yourself to go deeply into the earth and then connect in the earth with all the other people who are who are here. And
That's lovely.
that's a beautiful thing.
I can feel the
because
energy of that process already. That's beautiful.
more and more, there's more and more science coming out all the time about the extraordinary life of trees underground.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how they have almost like a neural system underneath the ground. So that's something that you can also use with a team, particularly if it's going to be an ongoing thing. So yeah, I love these, getting away from Zoom being just a talking head. We're talking heads anyway, but we can add a little bit more.
Interestingly enough, I'm listening to the book on Audible called The Hidden Life of Trees. So, yeah.
Oh, great. Well, there's a movie to that name,
Okay.
which is
Yes.
probably the same author, I would imagine.
probably.
Yeah, I think it is. His name is Peter. Oh God, no, what's the last name? And I had a presentation of him in life and in a forest cabin. And we had a walk through a very specific part of that forest. And he explained how these trees could be communicating. I mean, it is an assumption. We don't know yet whether it's really true. And then he showed us so many things where we said, oh, yes, that must be it, you know, like why little trees grow next to larger ones and so on, how they adapt systems with each other. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and there's no survival of the fittest. They all look after each other.
Yes.
At least the species looks after each other. It doesn't necessarily look after it. They can choose who they actually support. It's just the most amazing field of endeavor. And I think there's actual research now, Eva, of chemical transactions
Often
between them.
communicating. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes.
you know, I've always thought, how can this work? You know, have an impact environmentally. But I do think that
I think
I do think that as people connect with themselves,
yeah.
they often get the feeling of being connected to the earth. And unless we somehow can connect with the earth and we're part of the earth, I don't think we've got any chance of surviving on this planet. In our local Sunday rag, a Sunday Sun Herald here, they have a good weekend, and on that they have questions, you know, trivia questions. And one of the questions was, to the nearest 10%, how many of the species on Earth are still here, that have lived here, are still alive here? To the nearest 10%, what would you guess?
Mm. I don't know. Pretty small, I think.
3 billion.
No, to the nearest 10%, what percentage
Oh,
of tree
Oh, Richard.
of life forms are still here?
Mm.
From the beginning of time,
Yeah, at any time they've lived on Earth. Take a guess.
less than 1%.
Yeah,
probably.
I would have said 1 or less.
Well, it's 0.1%.
0.1.
0.1%. So that means that we've got 1 in 1,000 chance of continuing over at least the time that the Earth's been going, unless we use consciousness or rely on Elon Musk and the boys to take us into space. But it is it's a challenging thought, really.
Well, and humankind is only like in the last blink of an eye in the life of the universe, the life of the planet.
Yeah. So I think we're a flash in eternity, or a spark in eternity, and passion lights the spark. I'm going to use that phrase, actually.
Some of you might have heard the name Julian Burnside, but I heard a wonderful talk that he was giving recently, and he said, look, stretch out your arms from side to side and think about the distance from the fingertip on one side to the fingertip on the other, and that's the whole of the life of the universe. And then if you were to file your fingernail on one of those hands, that would eliminate humankind.
Oh,
Yeah. That's why I like rule number 5.
Yes, don't take yourself so seriously.
Sorry?
Don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
That's rule
Yeah.
6.
Oh, that's rule number
Um,
6. I'm sorry.
Rule number
Is it rule
Can
number-
I add?
Is it
can
5
I
or
add
6? You've got
something?
me confused, Roger.
It's 6.
It is rule number
6.
6, isn't it?
It's rule 6.
Did I say 5?
You said 5.
Yeah.
I usually exaggerate. You should have said 7. I don't usually underestimate.
It's 6.
So that's the women's program that we ran a while ago, Roger.
Aha, yes, that's right.
And rule
That's
number
right.
6 is there.
Yep. Rule number
Yeah,
6.
Those extraordinary women.
it was a fabulous, fabulous time, wasn't it?
Sure was.
Yeah. So, well, the exciting thing, one of the exciting things that's happening is that a few of our female coaches are wanting to start to do work together to generate programs like that, to support women coming from their essence, I think.
Women for women.
Women for women, we're calling it. Wendy's leading the charge. And, you know, if you want to be involved at a later date, Sandy, I think you'd probably find it quite fascinating, especially in the Middle East.
Mm.
Yeah, really.
Well,
Cool.
because it doesn't involve men. Women can just do the whole thing themselves. So yeah, that's an exciting initiative. And I think a lot of those programs that we did are replicable. And I don't know if I've shared my news about my little heart thing. I think you know, Roger and Uva and
It was
Wendy.
on your update yesterday that I looked
Yeah,
at.
we all saw it yesterday.
Oh, okay, cool. But it's lovely to have some energy. And I think part of me was not wanting to do anything new because it required energy, and my head's saying, or somewhere in my system is saying, save your energy, don't do it, you know, save your energy, because I was operating on 50%
Mm.
oxygen level. So that's something that is new that I'd love to do to make that happen. Who's got some really interesting new news? All news is new, I suppose. Was anyone, if they don't have any new news, do you have any olds?
So the women's program will be great. It'll be good to see if we can get some more of the women interested. on
And
that.
hopefully we'll have a team of women who can work anywhere in the world,
Yeah,
certainly within different time zones.
yeah.
So
I think we've lost Julie.
yeah, she left a while ago.
Mm.
Oh, some more news, and I'm not sure if it's right yet, but I think it's probable. I think Janine might have COVID and her family,
Mm.
which would be really sad. And I think she probably got it from her wedding. That's my guess. So none of you get married.
No chance of that.
Well, you never know.
No.
Janine just suddenly one day said, I'm getting married. That fell off the chair. You did too, Marty, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was a really quick, not a chance, Wendy.
That was. No, I've done my bit for statistics. Fast. Don't need to add to it.
You don't look unhappy, Wendy. You look,
I'm not.
you look glowing and very happy.
Oh, thanks, Roger. Yeah, I know. But it's funny. People over the years used to say, "Oh, I can't believe you haven't got, a partner or whatever." And I think, like this, they try and almost make you feel like there's something wrong with you. And I think, yeah, no, I'm good.
Congratulations for not having a partner, Wendy.
Well, if it's meant to be, it'll be. But it's not. You don't have. It's not the be all and end all to me. Like,
Of course.
plenty to do in life.
Well, I suppose my news is that I've decided I'm completely retired now, which is actually very disappointing. But this stroke has really overtaken me completely and utterly. I don't have much energy anymore. I would have loved to have been part of this team of women at coaching, but I just can't do it now. I've actually coached in Bahrain, and I would have perhaps a little bit to contribute in the thinking about working in that part of the world, but I can't be, unfortunately, part of it. I get so tired, and Peter, I know what it's like to have no energy. I can't sleep very well because I can't move around the bed and things like that. So I guess I'm just letting you know in advance that I would love to have been part of it, but I can't.
Well, you could be a senior advisor to be,
Yeah.
we could talk to you from time to time if you're up for it.
Yeah, that's
Because your experience, I mean, for those who don't know Kathleen, she's had an extraordinary career as a coach, coaching many
thousands
in organizations, and was a key part of our team that did a lot of work for McKinsey. Yeah. So
she's also written a fabulous book.
Yes.
Yeah, called. I don't have a copy here. It's standing up, isn't it?
called Standing Up, My Story of an Advocacy and survival after stroke. Yeah.
It's very inspiring. I thought of you when I've been reading a book called Cured, which is about curing people who've been cured from terminal illnesses. And it's quite an extraordinary book. And the two things that really seem to make the most difference are diet and also reinventing oneself, and actually connecting with one's essence and living from there.
Well, I think for me it was the love of family who were just the best advocates for me.
Yeah.
I think that was what basically that's how I actually survived the stroke and got into rehab. Yeah. I'd love you all to read the book because there's a lot in it that actually I've used with stuff that I'd used with my clients. I used on myself. That's very much in the book.
Yeah, I was very inspired by it, and it was part of my decision to actually come back and work in passion mapping again, because I thought if this work can help to heal massive strokes, then it's not a question of choice. It's a question of responsibility almost to bring this into the world and find people who want to work in that space. And of course now there's some wonderful work about trauma arising. I become a fan of Gabor Mate, and his book on the wisdom of his film on the wisdom of trauma is also I'd recommend you see that too. I probably should just put it up in the Facebook page.
And they've reopened it now as well. Or
Yeah.
they're about to reopen it for viewing. So.
Well, I've got a link to that reopening site. You probably have too.
Yeah.
And did you see the movie?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It's very much fits with the kind of the work that I do. But loved it, really loved it.
Yeah.
And just understanding how, we often relate to trauma as big things, but it's not always the big stuff. It's a mix. So it was for me, it was a great movie to watch.
Yeah, I loved it. Have you seen it, Roger?
No, what's it called?
The Wisdom of Trauma. Marty, can we, I'll send you a link. Can we put it up on Facebook page?
Yeah, no, I'd really
Sure.
like to do that.
It's quite extraordinary.
I'd love
And
to.
he's also connected to the guy who wrote the book I'm reading now called Cured. So there's this whole field of endeavor around understanding trauma or understanding how that presents in the body. And what I've realized, and I haven't really explored it yet, but I'd like to explore it with some people, maybe even academics, is when we're mapping someone and there is a blockage or reluctance, that is just trauma. And it could be a tiny one or a big one, as Sandy was saying. And so, we're not just mapping passion. If we keep our eyes and ears open, we're also identifying people's traumas. So to take that into a coaching space is really important. So there's this field of using this work in healing, I suppose.
It's been used in healing for a very long time, Peter.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
talking
think-
about passion mapping work.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of work by healers and various people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's unique at all.
No, I think the medical or scientific people are coming forward with that information now. But
Slowly.
yeah, they're catching finally. But kinesiology and lots of other energy modalities have been working from that for many years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great that it is coming into the mainstream.
Yeah. I
So
don't know if you saw, well, at least people in Australia, there was a film last night, a doco about the Cancer Institute, the Chris O'Brien Centre last night, a story of hope.
Yeah.
And it talked about the use of meditation and massage and other things like that for pain relief and other things that brings people out with a favourable outcome from cancer.
yeah, well, that's what we did at the Gawler Foundation. In fact,
Yeah.
Chris O'Brien came and did our course at the Gawler Foundation
Okay.
years ago. Yeah. And
Oh, is that how we? I didn't.
he was a lovely man. Yeah.
Gawler.
Yeah, and he actually was great because he did some work with Ian too. They did some radio talks together, and just trying to get the word out. But it was, I don't know, quite a long time ago now. That was, yeah.
That's a little bit of a segue for some news that I have, or something that's on my mind, because last week I did my very first all Zoom passion map. I mean, like when I say last week, it was over 2 weeks,
Right.
and it was with a man who had really serious childhood trauma because of the way his father physically and emotionally abused him. And I was not at all confident that I could do justice to it by, a virtual program. And we talked about it for some time beforehand about whether he was prepared to do it that way. And it just worked wonderfully, wonderfully well. I mean, he was certainly very open as a person to it, but it was incredibly profound. And of course, so much of his view of himself and what he has and hasn't been able to achieve, influenced by that childhood trauma. So yeah, it just, the synchronicity in this conversation from both the trauma part of that and the fact that we're all on Zoom, and yeah, I was really blown away by it. Yeah.
Will you be coaching him onwards, or it was just the mapping process?
Well, I know him quite well, and he himself is a leadership coach, and we have coaching conversations. He's coached me and I've coached him, but it's not in a formal sense. Well, it is. I mean, it's separate from our friendship conversations. We do have focused conversations where he asked me to coach him or I asked him to coach me. But it's the first time that he had wanted to reach out and experience the passion mapping experience. And he's absolutely, totally blown away by it.
Well, congratulations, Roger.
That's great.
Congratulations, Roger. That is fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, it was really so exhilarating to be able to do it. As you said, soaring emotions, Kathleen.
Oh, that's beautiful, Roger. And so we'll have some sort of ongoing connection with him around this.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Because in the next training program, I'm plan to put a lot more post mapping segue into coaching that hasn't been there before, so that it creates a pathway right through.
I think I might have said this to you before, Peter, but I work with a lot of CEOs of NGOs, mostly in dialogue forums, and sometimes, well, with a number of them in coaching as well. But it's interesting, over the whole of my coaching career, the people for whom I've done, or with whom I've done passion maps, are the people who have stayed longest and kept up the relationship of coaching. So it deepens that relationship enormously, which means that it seems to work better for them, and the connection with me is much, much better. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Pete.
So one of those things that I'd like to introduce is actionable, Chris's work about habit building. Because if you do have a transformative, transformational experience, you do have to create new habits.
Yeah.
And I found it, I'll put something out about that. And the other thing is to actually assess where you stand relative to your passion map.
Yeah. Just going back to the habit forming thing, I think that's mutually useful, because I think that habit building for passion mappers is really great. But I think that the deeper way that you could come at, like, what's your purpose in trying to create this habit is much clearer if you're doing it around a passion map, because a lot of people who use actionable habit building are really sort of saying, oh yeah, that'd be a good habit. Oh yeah, I should have that. But if they really understand why it's important, I think they will turbocharge that experience.
I think it just, Roger, in terms of that, from my experience, is when I'm trying to change a habit without that why.
Yeah.
Like it's a good idea, it's
Yeah.
hard work.
Yeah.
But when I'm changing something in service of something because I really see the benefit and it's something that I'm deeply committed to, it's not hard work. It's almost like it naturally occurs.
Yeah.
It's not uphill push. It's just it's supported in, for me, it's in an energetic way that it just happens.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Sandy. Yeah, I really agree with you. And if you could actually see that why in your passion map,
Yes,
wonderful.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I mean, that goes with anything really, you know. People will always achieve more or have more success if they know what their why is for whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise they...
It's a meaningful why. So
Yeah.
Years ago, I had some slip disc in my neck, and one of the things to do is change how you eat and all the other things. And I was struggling, but the context for it was I was trying to stop having an operation. And when I shifted the context to health, you know, I want to be healthy and well and vibrant, it became about creating something. And I noticed a huge difference in how then it just became I was eating well versus because I was trying to stop something before and it was out of fear. It was a very different experience.
Yeah.
The why and context is very different. Not very different, but really important if you want to change things at a sustainable level.
Everybody, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave you now, but it's been lovely to meet you all. And yes, if I can have any pearls of wisdom to help with the ladies.
I'm sure you've got plenty of strings of pearls of wisdom.
Exactly. That'd be wonderful, Catherine.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Lovely to be with you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, what's your news, Eva?
It just developed. You know that my daughter is a naturopath working here on the island of Corfu. She had studied it in Sydney some 6-7 years ago. And she has a very holistic approach about nearly everything. She has a block of land, 2.5 acres, and she is growing her own vegetables and whatever. But the point is that she always sees things in circles, feeding each other or depending on each other. And when you just said about your disc slipped, and one thing you can do is change nutrition. I mean, there's no immediate sense in it. Only when somebody explains to you how that is interconnected, you know, then you understand why you should change your eating or drinking habits or whatever habits which are close to nutrition. And that is also the same story about your guts and the role of guts as the second brain and whatsoever. So when you maltreat your digestive system for many years, you cannot expect that your thinking still remains straight. And I actually have a case where a very, very good friend, former very top manager or in the communication industry, has fallen into a deep depression. And this guy was never depressive before. But then when you look into his habits, sleeping, eating, drinking, not going to bed before 1 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock at night sometimes, but getting up again at 6 to go to work, and so on and so on and so on. And doing this for 40 years, then you understand, and if somebody explain it properly to you, then you understand why habits have an enormous impact on your health, and why changing one specific habit can already change a lot of your health issues at the same time. It's only one for many issues. And when you understand this, and when you teach it, or when you do it for yourself and then tell others about it, this is of enormous value. I may add also that unfortunately we have an industry which is against that sort of thinking, which is the pharmaceutical industry, because they only want to cure something with their products. They do not want to prevent something from happening.
Correct.
And these economical company interests and our own personal interests in personal health, they how do you say, they interfere? No, that's not the right word. They oppose them. Yeah. And that is something to understand. And here you're running with weak arguments because they are not properly researched in the sense of the pharmaceutical industry against exactly that industry and its lobby in a lot of countries. I mean, in Germany, the pharmaceutical industry, Bayer up front, Pfizer in the US, they have an enormous influence on our life habits. We don't realize it, you know. Their slogan is everything that makes you healthy means you are not healthy. Whereas the nutritionist says everything which keeps you healthy. And that difference we have to bring abroad, we have to bring across to a wider audience. That's very important. Then your disc slipped is an issue, but you can deal with it.
Well, absolutely. So so when it happened, the answer was surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from anything in the country that I live in, I wouldn't have disc surgery and all the rest of it. And I'm not if I'm having a heart attack, yes, I want to go and see a doctor. But anything else, I want to, I've cut myself, I do want to see a doctor. But for the rest of it, for me, it's very much a different form of wellness. But if I had bought into the medical system, I would have had disc surgery. But I do believe that the body has an innate ability to heal itself. It's about what do I need to do to put the conditions in place to allow it to do that.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
one of the things I was wanting to do is to have the first habit building a ritual around holistic health.
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Because if you don't have that, you don't really have anything. I mean, it's certainly, and that could be looked at from a mind, body, spirit, heart perspective. I don't know how people would do that. It'll be a bit of an experiment, how people would create their ideal holistic health ritual. And then you can, and even if they want to, but I think that's useful. And then the other one, which I played with Roger, was about productivity, being productive in the day. What are the things you do to get most productive for the day? So they were the two that I thought we might use in the program, and then people can choose how they want to create any others, if they do want to create any others. So in some respects, it's about creating Well, there are rituals and there are habits, I suppose, but they're similar. A ritual has probably more elements in it, I would think.
Ritual is conscious, a habit is sometimes unconscious.
Mm.
That's a good distinction.
Mm.
So that's a ritual that we do in all our meetings, Marty, don't we? If we have the team together. And we feel as though we've missed something if we don't do it. So it's also a habit because, habits, if you don't do them, it makes you feel uncomfortable. Yeah. So is there any other goodies that people want to share? Time is moving on, as it has a habit of doing.
Mm. Passion Cafe on the 30th of this month.
Oh yeah, that's a
Everyone's
support.
coming. Yeah.
It's a support process for the women's program.
Yeah. So it's 9 a.m. Sydney time on the 30th. But the emails are. Is the first email gone already, Marty?
Yeah.
Yeah,
1 o'clock at night for me.
Marty?
Yes, so that's 9 in the morning,
Yeah, but
Sydney time.
has the
Yep,
first
that already went out.
yeah, so the first one's gone out. There'll be more coming. So hope you can join us.
Yeah, we'll be promoting it on social media. We'll see who turns up.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful process.
And Julie, who was on for a short time earlier, she's our guest speaker, so which will be great.
So 70% of the coaching market is women, I'm told, online.
70%. Okay.
Yep. It's a lot, isn't it?
That is a lot. Mm.
So has everybody read that case study we did? I think I sent it to you, didn't I, Sandy?
No,
Oh, we'll do it.
I don't think you did.
What's that?
The case study,
For women for women.
the women's program that we ran in the States, you came to the first part, I think, but it covers both parts.
Yeah.
Love to read one. Thank you.
And sorry?
No, sorry, I was just saying I'd love to read it.
Well, we've got to get that to Sandy, Marty. Can you organise that, please? Uwe?
To me too, please.
Okay, we might send it out to everybody. Basically, it was 21 women. It was the most senior women in McKinsey. And we did a program for half of them, the North Americans, and then the rest of the world wanted to jump on board as well. So we managed to get them all mapped. And then we had 20 people flying to London for a day from all over the world. And they created a collective map, which I just showed you actually. It was like a furnace in the middle of the room. So it was just something. But the extraordinary thing is this was, hello, welcome back.
Sorry, it was an accident. It was an accident. But I'm here, very focused.
No problem, no problem. The extraordinary thing is that 10 years later, most of the initiatives were still going. The women called themselves the Wicked Group because they wanted to do things. They wanted to do things the women's way. They were all extraordinarily surprised how powerful they were as a group of women connecting at their deep essence. And these are people who are world leading in their fields, really. So it was, I think it's probably the highlight of my whole professional career, Roger, in all sorts of different fields and whatever, that one program. And what happened, they started a leadership program, which still runs at Banff, called Centered Leadership. One of them wrote a book. They started a networking system for networking with senior women in organizations. They started a health initiative within the firm. They started a global NGO for women's health, which I think is still going. I don't know the name of it, but it's still going. The thing that I most love about that was they gave a series of awards to women who most supported men who most supported women in the firm. And I can remember the woman who suggested this and said, like, nudging the person next to her, thinking, I can just see Fred Bloggs. He doesn't get the medal or doesn't get, but he says, I'm better than he is. I'm going to support women more than he did. And so playing on men's competitiveness to support women, and it's absolutely worked. And they're still giving that award out, you know, more than 10 years later, and it still has an impact. And that all came out of this cauldron almost.
Just, Peter, I remember, and it's still sort of feeding to my brain, when those women had developed their map and they were then talking about the initiatives, the very things that you're talking about now, and they were all around a huge whiteboard and they had the passion map blown up beside them, and they were generating ideas, and I can't remember how many of them, 10 of them or something like that.
Well, that was the first one of the 10 North Americans.
Yeah, and there was so much energy, and they were firing away and building on each other, and there wasn't an ounce of competition or aggression or cutting across each other, but there was so much energy, and they were all talking at once, but and a couple of them were writing on the whiteboard and capturing the ideas, and I've never seen that number of people trying to work together with such speed and such energy and such productivity that just didn't turn into chaos or conflict or competition. It was
awesome. Just awesome. I think that's why, and then that happened again, but with 20 globally. So they were the 10 North Americans. And then the second part, which was basically Janet and Susie and myself in London, that was 20 people. And the thing that they regretted about it was that didn't create the space for that to happen with the 20. Mm. So it's actually, the journey is really the same issue to talk about with individuals. You know, it's not about doing the map, it's what you do with it and how you deal with it. So
I apologize to all of you, but I've just noticed that it's 5:30 and I absolutely have to go, and there's the phone call coming in right now. I'm really, really sorry, but it's been great to see you.
Well,
hi, Roger.
Thanks, Roger. You always make such a wonderful contribution. And I'm going to close it down. I'm going to leave too. You guys can talk if you want to.
No, I've got too much to do too. I've got to get on. So it's been great, everyone.
Thanks, everybody, and thanks for coming on, Marty. Let's get both the retreat and the women's program to these guys, eh?
Oh,
in the retreat.
Pleasure listening to all of you.
Nana, can we see you?
Yeah. Oh. In my kitchen.
She is.
Thanks for hanging in.
Yeah.
Thank you. The kids are waking on and there's too much talking. So yeah.
Are you in your home there?
Yes, I'm at home.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Lovely.
So thanks, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful
Good to
Bye,
see you all,
everyone.
Peter.
You.
See you
Bye,
soon.
everyone.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye. See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.